Hi guys, and welcome back to Rage Gaming. Today I've got a quick guide to all of the map fragments of the game. There are a total of 5 more areas to unlock once you kind of get started in the first area, the Gravesite Plain. And when you've got the whole thing unlocked, you'll be looking at something like this. The first few places we're going to start from is the castle front in the Gravesite Plains, just across the Elec Great Bridge. The first map fragment I want to highlight is this one, which is the Scadu Altus region. Technically, it's possible for you to come to the castle front and go into the Legacy Dungeon, Castle Enzis, and defeat the boss in this room. Then you'll pass through and hey, you'll be in this region. However, if you don't want to do a major boss fight, maybe it's hard, maybe you want to do it later, for any reason, you can actually bypass that completely and go to this location, the Fort of Reprimand, instead. So, from the starting point of the Castle Front Grace, we're going to follow this road to this edge here. As we come to this edge, you'll note that there's a guy kind of standing on the edge looking over the side to indicate that there's something going on over here. As you can see, what you've got are lowering platforms that allow you to kind of step ladder your way down all the way to the bottom. What we're going to do from this water is continue southeast to where this marker is, where we're going to find a spirit spring. As you can see, we have our first spirit spring, which for you will be deactivated the first time you come here. So you actually head past it and just go up a level. Just around to the left here is the circle with some rocks, and you hit that and break it, which activates the spirit spring. We run into this with torrent and jump up, and it brings us up quite high, but not all the way, because there's a second spirit spring, as you can see, just around the corner, which will bring us to the fort. And now we will be accessing the Scadu Altus region. From here, you can just activate the bonfire of the grace and exit the fort and make your way into this region. For the next map fragment, we're going to go south. This area down here is called the Cerulean Coast. To access the Cerulean Coast, we're going to start again from the castle front, and just like we just did, we're going to head southeast along this road and come to that part where we went down and down and down until there's the water with the crab and the Miranda flower. From there, we're going to cross through a cave behind the flower and come to this grace, the Elec River Cave Grace. To show you how to do that, we're down here where the crab and the flower is, as I said, and we're just going to pass right by the flower on our left, and on to the right is a cave entrance. As we come through here, you can veer left and go uphill slightly, and that'll bring us around this corner, exiting the cave, which, as we do so, you'll note that there's a statue on the right with an item to pick up. That's one of the Spirit Ash Blessings, so you might as well grab that. And there's the grace we mentioned for the Elec River. Next on the map, we will exit into the river and head south, following that water all the way down here, eventually coming out to the Cerulean Coast. An important thing to note then from the Elec River is that as we turn left, it's not exactly a straight path that's very easy to navigate. You will find as you come to this edge, there are some rocks that you're going to need to jump on, and you want to carefully use torrent to do so. Following through here, there are some secrets, like down below me, there's a lobster and some hidden items, so it's worth exploring this area properly. But just follow the water and the valley until you get to the end here. Your guiding light will be the giant furnace golem though, that's letting you know you're on the right path. Just head behind him to the right on the right side of the water. We'll come through this kind of naturally forming cave entrance, and then we'll get this beautiful reveal of the Cerulean Coast, a new region for you to explore, and a map fragment that's just dead ahead of you, just on the other side of that water. Okay, so for our next map fragment, we have the southeastern area. This is known as the Jagged Peak. To get here, you actually need to take this kind of rock formation bridge. The easiest way to do that, you guessed it, the starting point of Castle Front. We're going to follow this main road, this time leading up all the way to this grace, the Pillar Path Waypoint. When you first arrive here, there'll actually be an NPC here moaning in pain, and that'll give you a good indicator that you're in the right place. The path leading down to the right, as you can see, has a lot of dragon-related statues that have been beheaded and so on. This lets you know that you're following the right valley all the way down here to this cave entrance, the Dragon's Pit. So at the end of that valley, we just ran in a straight line going south. On our left, we have a cave entrance here, and this is the entrance to the Dragon's Pit. Just down here, you're going to find a grace to get you started in this little cave dungeon section. Passing through the Dragon's Pit, you will have a boss fight at the end, and there will even be a weapon reward. And behind the boss fight room will be the Dragon's Pit Terminus Grace. Essentially, you exit the room to the east, and eventually you'll come outside here to the region, the Jagged Peak. To get to the map fragment though, you just kind of enter and go straight to it. And with that, we have another area revealed. Next, we're going to need the northwestern side of the map, the ruins of Rauh. For this one, we actually start in a different place finally. The nearest grace is the Morth Ruins Grace, which is kind of in the center of that region. That's why we unlocked Scadu Altus earlier, so you can do this next. So from the Morth Ruins Grace, we're going to head northeast, where we have this little lake. And as you can see on the north side, it kind of converges into a point that's a cave entrance, which will pass out and through here, where there's these kind of poison lakes or ponds. The idea is to head through here and pass under this natural bridge, and then you'll come out into this valley, the Ancient Ruins base. But to start with, from the North Ruins, we're heading to that lake to the northeast. Fortunately, it is indeed very close to where we want to go, and you can see a headless Marika statue as a marking point to know you're on the right path. We come into this very yellow cave where there are lots of items you could gather like this, but for me, I'm just going to blast through it, so just progress through the cave. It's hard to get lost. It's pretty much a straight line, and as we come out here, you'll have the poison kind of ponds revealed to you. Then we have that natural bridge that I mentioned just to the northwest, so let's head there next. As we exit here, we're going to find that we're actually in the new region, just like so, and dead ahead of us is our grace to activate. And as you'll see, the map fragments just down here at the other end of the valley. You'll have to run for a couple of golems, but if you sprint, it'll be completely fine. Okay, so to reveal the full map, we just have one fragment to get, and it's this pesky area called the Abyssal Woods. It's actually a lot lower down than, say, the Jagged Peak that you see in this area as well. It's all this kind of darkened region. The route to this is quite lengthy, and so obviously I'm going to do my best to show you so you don't get lost. But I need to preface this with a warning. The starting point of this is the Shadow Keep, which is a kind of main legacy dungeon of this region, the Scadu Altus. When you approach the entrance roughly about here, an event will take place. This will kind of shatter something in the world and progress time. So imagine all the NPCs are in phase 1 in their first locations and nothing's going on. When you approach the gate, the front entrance of the Shadow Keep, this event occurs and then all the NPCs essentially go into phase 2, which means some of them will move and new events will occur with them. If you don't want that to happen, like you've not met them all, you've not progressed them how you want, then do not come to the Shadow Keep entrance. So assuming you're ready, enter the Shadow Keep. You'll have the main gate once you've gone up a lift, and you'll have to defeat a boss in the main gate plaza pretty much immediately, which is the room I'm standing in, and obviously I've cleared it. To begin with, you'll have to go left because the door on the right is locked. But it's very simple. You progress through this left side of the castle, and eventually you come out here onto this high bridge. By passing along the length of the bridge, you'll see that there's a route going down, and that's the closed door to open up the shortcut to the main gate plaza, which is this door right here, as marked by 3 of the militiamen that are attacking me right now. So to get to the region, we've got what we need unlocked. We've got the shortcut. So we're exiting to the right, heading to the center of that large bridge, as I mentioned. This time we're going to turn east to the other end of the bridge, the opposite of the one that we entered from, because there's a ladder over here on the left where this body is hanging out. We're just going to jump on this ladder and slide on down. And at the bottom of the ladder, on our left, we have this kind of waterfall, which hides a secret. It's kind of a sewerway with another ladder. So let's head down there. At the bottom of the ladder, we have a secret room with a painting, which we're not too bothered about because there's this very obvious illusion wall right here where these markings are kindly, and you hit it or roll into it and it'll expose the real passage that's here. Right around the corner, what you'll have on my left here is a coffin, which you can enter. The From Software devs love doing this. There's been so many coffins, one that changes your sex, one that moves you around. They've done it in a lot of the games. And so this is no different. We enter the coffin and it takes us to a new location. That location is the castle watering hole right here. Don't worry too much when you spawn in from the coffin. You just exit by heading east and we're in the watering hole like so. What we want to do is just head southeast where there's instantly another grace, the Recluse's River upstream. Just be careful because as you pass through this area, there is indeed a furnace golem that is currently not active. I believe, if I remember correctly, it's this one that's laying down and it kind of tries to ambush you. Yep, there it is. So this next part is not necessarily complicated, but it's not so easy as it sounds. Basically, we're going to follow this water all the way down south to our next grace, which is the Recluse's River downstream. Here you're going to find a bunch of those fly enemies, and they're really annoying in big packs, so dispatch them as slowly or as fast as you want, but just be careful as you're going along this path. It's quite tight and there's the occasional sudden jump like so. So take your time, that's what I advise. You don't want to fall, but if you do, the grace is right there. It's not the end of the world. Alright, so you made it all the way down to the south side and you'll see this grace as you slide off the cliff above. We can activate that, get all those flies off of us. With that, we have our last section. We're aiming for this catacomb right here, the Dark Light Catacombs. But the path isn't exactly that simple. You'll have to come around here, just below this little town, the Village of Flies, which we will ignore as we head southeast. So as you can see, we're just heading in that direction, going down and down, until we get this pack of the flies, and also one of those very dangerous enemies. We're going to head downhill instead of going uphill here, because if you go uphill, you go to the Village of Flies, as I mentioned. Ending up in this kind of graveyard area, which, if you follow the main road, heading east, we're going to bump into the lights here, with a closed door to the catacombs, the Dark Light Catacombs. Head down the first lift and you'll get to the Grace. Now, as is in the name, the Dark Light Catacombs, the theme is darkness. So you'll have to find levers to activate lights to progress through here. There's lots of secrets and valuable items in there, but essentially the main path is by heading down, I believe, 3 massive lifts that take you extremely low into the earth. Eventually you'll come to a boss fight where, when defeated, you'll have the Grace here, the Forsaken Graveyard. From here we will be in the Abyssal Woods, but you'll notice there's a theme which is really cool, that when you're riding Torrent you'll be forcibly dismounted, because this is an area where we can't, at very least initially, mount. So from here you'll just head straight south and hit this Grace, the Woodland Trail. Next we'll head southeast, where we eventually come to the map Fragment location, which is right outside the abandoned church, which will be your next Grace location. And with that you will have revealed that map Fragment, and in doing so we should have all of the map fragments and the full map of the DLC revealed. I hope this guide was helpful with enough detail without too many spoilers to get you there. If you guys have enjoyed it, do drop a like. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.